Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Sylvia. I hope you are well. I am okay. As you have read on the title, today we are heading to Puente del Armada and Castillo Sohail in Fuengirola. Stick around to learn more. Remember to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let's get into the video, guys. Getting to Castillo Sohail, it took me 15 minutes from Fuengirola city center, but it depends with where you're coming from. But this doesn't mean it's going to be a long distance that you have to be scared of the walk or something. And then if you happen to get hungry or you're thirsty or you forgot something on your way, you can still buy it on your way because like I told you, by the beach there are very many restaurants, there are many supermarkets, so you will still get to buy whatever you need. And then their opening hours, on Monday it's closed, but then Tuesday to Friday it's open at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday and Sunday it's open at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then reopens again at 3:30 to 6 p.m. Once you get to the bridge, Puente del Armada, just walk towards the highway. You're not going to get to the highway, but that's where the gate is. This was confusing for me, but I still managed to find it. And you just walk to the highway and the gate will be on your left side. The castle is built on a hill, so you're on your way up. The route is steep. You have to just walk carefully. But it's not a hectic walk, it's just amazing. You will have amazing views and it will be over in like maybe 5 or less minutes. But remember to wear comfortable shoes. I didn't have this, but it didn't stress me because I was just thinking of going to the castle and that's what I did, so it didn't bother me like I needed to wear comfortable shoes. But if you plan on going, remember to wear comfortable shoes. And let's see the castle. They have two gates at the castle, the down one and then the one that leads you into the castle. In this one that leads you into the castle, you will find they have the time where they are open and what time they close and which days, like in the morning, evening, like that. And then there's a QR code where you scan them to get the audio guide. And for this audio guide, I would recommend you to carry earphones because you have to listen to them. Like, you can listen to them as you walk, or you can wait until you get home and listen to them, but it's advisable you listen to them as you walk so that you get to check your surrounding and know what they're talking about. Purpose of the castle was to guard this stretch of coastline and to protect the navigable ways that ran through the Straits of Gibraltar. Also served as a shelter for occasional travelers who moved along the coastal route. Its previous use was a fast defensive spot in Caliphate times, with only a few vestiges remaining. In the 11th and 12th century, the Almoravids erected a defensive enclosure, Rivat, that combined its military character with a religious aspect. The construction which has an irregular octagonal plan, was adapted to the topography of the hill where it was built and had 8 towers located at the junction of the different enclosing wall. All towers were square and at the moment only 6 are preserved. During the Muslim period, the entrance was through a ramp that was protected with a barbican that led to a gate, now blocked off, framed by a horseshoe archway that gives way to an elbow-shaped axis designed to make it difficult for any attackers to enter the base of the main tower. This made it the only tower with a hollow interior covered by a vault on pendices. Its privileged location made it the stage for several battles for the control of the Straits of Gibraltar from the 13th century. Also being on a coastal border, meant that although the castle was exposed to enemy attacks, it was also used as a shelter for the inhabitants of the area and the travelers who went by. In relation to this, it's known that the famous traveler from Targan, Ibn Battuta, was traveling from Marbella to Malaga when he experienced a situation of danger and anxiety when he was about to be captured by Christian galley soldiers who had disembarked in the area. Eventually, he was able to save his life thanks to the help provided by the garrison of the castle, where he spent the night, restarting his march to his destination conveniently escorted. In 1456, the Castilian monarch Enrique IV assaulted the fortress after a scuffle, managing to penetrate it after burning the main gate. He did so with 300 of his men, commanded by the Count of Osorio, some of the foreigners such as the gentle Frenchman who had arrived from there, and who died in the assault. Unable to resist due to the risky situation they were in, and despite having dismantled some battlements to throw the bricks to the assailants, the defenders chose to parley with the attackers, and then to the general surprise, the king ordered his host to leave the fortress, possibly due to the difficulty of maintaining it within a territory that he could not control. Next was the Christian conquest. It was conquered by the troops of the Catholic monarchs in August of 1485 under the command of Garcian de Rexen and Rodrigo Ponce de Leon, being Alonso de Massa, the first Christian governor. I will write these names down because I know I am probably pronouncing them wrong. Who was in command of a small garrison composed of a captain, 2 trumpeters, and 15 spearmen. Some years later, in 1494, it suffered the effects of an earthquake that forced major repairs to the houses built inside, making it necessary to order 6,000 tiles for the roofs from the pottery workshops of Seville. During the term of its first governor, the doubtful effectiveness of the defense system under his command was evident. It seemed that he was involved in smuggling, and therefore he had little concern about increasing the population of the territory in order not to damage the profit from his business. Due to the economic shortage the royal treasury was going through, it was considered appropriate to base the defense of this spot on a number of neighbors coming from different places. As such, in 1502, there was a repopulation process which intended the settlement of 30 new inhabitants that were later reduced to 20 due to the shortage of space for more houses within the castle. They would then be in charge of guarding and securing this sector of the coast. The risk of living in an unsafe place was compensated with the concession of large exemption and land donation. Since the responsibility of the defense was transferred to the new inhabitants and had as a consequence an increase in savings for the crown in the garrison upkeep, unfortunately, the attempt to repopulate ended up failing and forced the military forces to take over the control of the enclosure and the coastal defense once more. Now the castle gets restructured. From the 16th century onwards, the role of the castle, together with the nearby coastal towers, was to defend the coast from the continuous attacks carried out by the North African pirates, as it was the only important spot between Marbella and Malaga. In 1507, Alonso de Mesa handed his post over to Pedro Fernandez de Córdoba, who in turn had to leave the command of the castle in 1526 in favor of Agustin Garcia de la Rica. Sometime later in 1527, there was a need to repair the wooden roof of the church. In 1553, due to the progressive deterioration of the facilities, the Bishop of Malaga, Brother Bernardo Manrique, with the help of the Crown, represented by the Captain General of the Coast, Count of the Tendila, went on to finance the remodeling of the defensive complex. According to the New Times, when the artillery was acquiring more and more prominence. To do so, one of the towers was demolished and a platform was created close to the east wall where several cannons were installed. The original entrance was also blocked off and new access in the north wall was opened, which was protected with a matriculation, and another tower was heightened. In the 17th century, in particular 1653, a raging fire destroyed homes and barracks in the fortress, affecting its main tower. The cost of its reconstruction was 6,000 ducats that came from the coffers of its governor, Pedro de Moriana Osorio, whose mother Leonor Osorio de Astroga had died in 1637 and was buried in the church of the enclosure. Her white marble gravestone was discovered during the cleaning works on the premises in 1989. A highlighted date in the history of this fortress was the visit made by King Felipe IV on April 2nd, 1624, which was the reason why a commemorative marble cross placed on a pedestal was erected. However, this monument has not survived to our present day. In the 18th century, military activity intensified after the fall of Gibraltar into English hands due to the War of Succession. At the same time, many reports claimed its state of abandonment and the need for some refurbishing. Thus, the fortification underwent once again new works and improvement, being the most important one carried out in 1730 under the command of the Count of Montemar, Captain General of the Coast, which was commemorated with a marble plaque placed inside the enclosure. A few years later, in 1739, a report was written by Marquis of the Cañas tells us that his garrison at that time was integrated, apart from the governor, by a chaplain, 23 infantry soldiers and 8 cavalry soldiers. Moreover, mention is made of the presence of 4 iron and bronze cannons of various calibers that were later increased to 8. I went back to take a few pictures of myself, but then I met this guy taking pictures of his dog, and it was just so amazing to watch the dog pose around and all that. I didn't want to record more because I didn't want to invade privacy, but enjoy this clip. Thanks to new documents, we also know that in 1787 it had the capacity to house 160 soldiers with their officers, in addition to 14 gunners and up to 20 horses. For them, it had some facilities such as gunpowder, ammunition, and supply store, stables, a bread oven, a well, a church built in the 16th century where the Islamic mosque once stood, the priest house, dwellings for officers and married soldiers, together with barracks for single soldiers and some neighbors. However, we know that in that year, the garrison had only 40 soldiers, and in 1796, the number was reduced to 27, with Josefa de Salamanca y Mora as governor. The War of Independence started in 19th century, and the castle was occupied by the French Grande Army troops in February 1810, leaving a garrison of 200 soldiers. Among them was 150 Polish soldiers who belonged to the 4th Warsaw Regiment under the command of Captain Milokosiv. In October of the same year, there was an unsuccessful attempt to recover it by an expedition of 2,500 soldiers that had left from Gibraltar under the command of General Lord Blaney, who was captured. Finally, in April 1812, General Ballesteros managed to conquer it after its abandonment by the French garrison that hid the old cannons on the beach before fleeing. Due to the damage suffered during the war against the Napoleonic forces, in 1830, the Crown finally decided to carry out some works to rebuild the walls and the ruined tower on its southwest corner. To enable musketry fire, a wall with arrow slits was raised, which caused the reduction of the defensive perimeter and interrupted the existing walkway over the wall. Over the years, its importance declined, so it was downgraded to a simple carabiner post to try avoid smuggling, till it was auctioned and acquired by Barbara de Obregón y Puente de Huella, Countess of San Isidro. Later it fell into total abandonment and used as a source of construction material for local building. In 1981, it was declared a historical monument and 5 years later was sold by its owners to a construction company, and later acquired in 1988 by the Fuengirola town hall. This allowed development of various restoration works along the years 1989 and 1995, and later it was dedicated to celebration of different recreational and cultural activities. Entrance to Castillo Sohail is free, and they have toilets which you pay €1 to use, and you are welcome to sit and just chill and enjoy the sun when you're there, because they have seats on the outside and you're going to have amazing views of Fuengirola from all the sides, as you have seen.
Lately you don't feel like yourself, and you kinda hate it. You suppress all of the thoughts in your head and say it's complicated. You hide your pain, but I can see it etched on your face. I know the feeling, swear you're okay, but you're barely breathing. Don't you walk away. Cause I feel you getting lost, I feel you trailing off. Feel it in your words when you say there's nothing wrong. There's something so subliminal about the way that your hands shake whenever you talk. You stare into space like you're lost in your thoughts, surrounded by your paper walls. Tell me what's been going on. Tell me what's been going on.
So guys, you have seen that bridge, and it's called Puente de la Armada, which is close to the Sohail castle, which I hope I'm saying it correct. And this Puente de la Armada is to honor the Spanish Navy and what they were doing, the maneuvers they were doing. And it was begun in 206, and you have seen the small I don't know what they are called, the one with the writing. It says 16th October 208, which I guess that's when it was put there. And on this bridge, no bikes are allowed, no dogs are allowed, so you just walk to it and see it. It's close to the Sohail castle, which you can go and see. And if what else? It's next to the river park, so that's that. Yeah, I think yeah, that's it. Excited.
I'm so caught up thinking about myself.